From working as a bartender to a waiter to making Mexican food in a restaurant and then moving on to being a biomedical scientist in my previous career path, and finally now having worked as a doctor for the last 5 months, I really have spent a bunch of time really thinking about what career path is right for me, and even to this day constantly contemplating whether or not being a doctor and doing medicine is actually right for me. So I wanted to make this video to explain to you guys the framework that I've developed in my head over the last few years about how to actually weigh up what you want to do in your life in regards to a career. This really is the video that I wish I had when I was in my early 20s or late teens, and I hope this video really helps you guys out in some way or form. What is going on, guys? My name is Kenji and welcome back to my channel. Hopefully it's not the first time you're watching one of my videos, but just in case it is, I'm a doctor working in London, and if you're at a point in your life, no matter what age you are, where you're actually thinking about what career is actually right for me, maybe you're in a job that you don't particularly like, maybe you want to switch career paths, and hopefully this video is exactly what you're looking for and will help you make that career choice. I'll be touching on 7 different themes I think is really important when choosing a career path that is right for your life. The first one being passion, purpose, personality, freedom of time, money, freedom of location, and finally satisfaction. Let's go ahead and talk about the first theme, which is passion. Now, passion is probably the most common and obvious theme that you probably get told all the time throughout school. Do what you're passionate about and do what you actually love. Now, how important is passion actually? I think passion is generally important. I think you want to have a job where you feel passionate about, where you feel like, your heart's in the right place. And I have a set number of questions that I always ask myself when thinking about what I'm actually passionate about. The first thing is, would you be happy to do what you want for free? So if we lived in a world where there was no money whatsoever, there was no form of currency, and everyone just had to choose a job that they want to do for the rest of their lives, or for at least, for quite a while, what would you choose to do for free in such a circumstance? The second question I always ask myself is, what do you feel motivated to do when nobody's watching? This is really important because sometimes we end up being in a career that we don't actually want to do ourselves. We're not actually passionate about. We're choosing this career because our mother and our father told us that medicine is the right thing to do. It's a respectable career and this is something you should do. But if you had these people not watching, if literally no one in the world could see what you're doing, then what again would you choose to do when no one's there, when it's just you and it's literally just you making that decision about how you want to spend the rest of your life? And that moves me on to the third question I normally ask myself, which is, what would you be happy to do for the rest of your life? Now, of course, no career is set in stone. As I just told you guys, I've been a bartender, a waiter, I've been a biomedical scientist, I've been a doctor. No career is set in stone, and there's no pressure whatsoever in your life to choose a different career if you feel that's the case. And I still, currently I love medicine. I really want to be a doctor, but who knows how I feel in 5-10 years from now. You don't have to do something for the rest of your life, but it is important to think about, what would I be happy to do for at least a couple of years or at least a set amount of time? Because oftentimes, it's not easy to switch careers. It's not easy to become a doctor. That takes years and years of training. You don't want to start something and, spend many, many years in it and change your mind. Even though changing your mind is completely fine, when you're actually making that decision at first, think to yourself, am I actually able to commit to 5 years of medical school? Would I then be able to commit to another, 10 years of training to be a consultant? Whatever it is, think about, would I actually be happy to invest this amount of time that is necessary for this particular career? If you have no idea what you're actually passionate about, it really helps sometimes to look back into your early years as a child. And this is something that I did when deciding what I wanted to do in my life. So when I was actually a child, I don't know if you guys have seen Dexter's Laboratory. It's an amazing cartoon. I loved it so much. But it's essentially about a very nerdy teenage boy who has a lab in his house and he's a scientist. I absolutely love that show, and that really inspired me to spend loads of time in my house having a little mini laboratory as a kid. And that's when I knew that I was really passionate about science and I really wanted to be a scientist. And that later developed into my dream of becoming a doctor and continue to be a scientist in such a way. And that really is the first theme I want to tell you guys about. Think about what you're passionate about, and that moves us nicely on to the second theme, which is purpose. So purpose really is about why you're here on this earth. Is there a particular thing that you just feel like you're destined for? Is there something that you just have a purpose to fulfill? Are there any gifts you feel that you've been naturally gifted with that you want to use in order to make a difference in this world? Do you think you have a particular calling to do a certain career? That really is what purpose means. Now, in my particular case, the reason why I chose medicine is I felt that I always wanted to help people. I had a particular passion to make a change in this world, and I really loved how being a doctor allows you to do that. I also felt that I had certain skills that allowed me to really, give to the world. This included things like teamwork, leadership, communication, empathy, a huge amount of skills. I thought, you know what, I feel like this is a gift that I have, and it really would be a shame if I don't actually use this gift to make a difference in the world. So I felt like medicine really was my purpose. I felt that the things that doctors do is what is inside my heart, is what is inside my soul. So if there's anything in your life that you think you have a particular purpose to fulfill, then make sure you consider that in your decision. What you really want at the end of the day is a career that you feel you really, have a purpose in. You want to feel like you're having an impact in this world. It doesn't have to be in medicine. It could be literally in, developing video games for people to make them happy, or having a comedy show. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but as long as you feel that internal validation from yourself that this is what I'm meant to do, this is what I've been brought onto this earth to do, and I really have a purpose to do what I do every single day. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break from the video to quickly thank Let's Get Checked, who are kindly sponsoring the video. Now guys, as a doctor and a biomedical scientist who's really into health and fitness and the gym and working out, it's recently become quite important for me to be aware of my body's health and also hormone levels as well. One of my goals this year of 2023 is to try my best to get back into bodybuilding, building loads of muscle, and also trying to be as healthy as I possibly can be. So when Let's Get Checked reached out to me, I was super happy because what they do is in line with my current goals in health and fitness. What I really love about Let's Get Checked, and what made it quite easy to work with them, is the convenience of everything. So you don't actually have to leave your home in order to get your hormone levels checked. You don't have to arrange a doctor's appointment. You don't have to actually go to a hospital and get a blood test appointment. It's super convenient. Once you do the test at home and you send it off to the lab, all of your confidential results will be securely available on your online account in 2 to 5 days. Your results will be reviewed by the experts in the Let's Get Checked clinical team. And if you want to actually arrange a consultation to discuss your results, that's also possible. And if there is an abnormality in your results, in some cases, they might actually be able to help you with that. All of the Let's Get Checked laboratories are CLI approved and CAP accredited, which is the highest ranking of accreditation. So if you're also into health and fitness like me, and you'd also like to get your testosterone levels checked from the comfort of your own home, then you can use the code KENJI25 or click the link down below in the description to get 25% off your testing order. The third theme that you need to think about as well is personality. Now, I feel like this is something that's not really spoken about in school. We had a careers advisor in school and I don't even know what they did. And they certainly did not talk to me about personality. And I think this is one of the things that's often not looked at, but is super important when choosing your particular career. One way of doing this is to do one of those tests called like the Myers-Briggs test. I did this test a couple of years ago and that really gave me an idea about what sort of characteristics I have, what sort of personality I have, and that guided what sort of career that I wanted to do. And I actually believe the Myers-Briggs test does kind of give you a highlight of what sort of career choices might be helpful in your future. What I would personally do if I was you is to make a huge list of your personality traits. So these are things like maybe you're more of an anxious type, maybe you're a confident type, maybe you're introverted, maybe you're extroverted. Write a full entire list about how you would describe your own personality. And also importantly, speak to your family, speak to people who know you well and ask them what sorts of personality traits they believe that you have and get them to be honest so you actually have an accurate list of all the personality traits that you have. What I would then do after that is to write down a few ideas of certain career choices that you might want to go into. For example, medicine, being a banker, being a footballer, whatever you find interest in, whatever you have a passion and purpose for, all those things. And then what I would do is just look at these two things. Look at the list you made, look at the career that you've written out and see if each of those careers matches to your personality. And of course, it won't match your personality entirely, but maybe some aspects of it more than others will actually suit particular areas of disciplines, particular areas of work. What I also suggest you do is to do a huge amount of research into the actual job. What does it involve? What's the everyday, stresses like? What do they actually do every single day? In addition, I would recommend doing some work experience. So if you want to be a doctor, for example, you kind of have to pretty much shadow a doctor in order to gain some work experience to apply to medical school. And while you're on the work experience, of course, learn about science, learn about how we treat patients, but also very importantly, sit down and ask yourself, look at what the doctors are doing every single day. Look into what tasks they take on. Look into how stressed they are. Ask them, do you actually enjoy your job? Ask them, if you won the lottery, if you won £1 million, £10 million, would you still do your job? Will you continue to show up day in, day out? Focus on the medicine, but also really think about, would I be happy doing what this person person is doing day in, day out, every single day of your life, and whether or not it matches your personality. What's really funny is when I was on my work experience, and even today as a doctor, I still ask every doctor I meet, or at least try to, if you won the lottery, would you continue doing your job in that particular specialty that you've chosen to do? The reason that I ask this is in a couple of years time, actually next year, I actually have to start choosing what specialty I want to apply to, and I actually will be making my application next year, most probably. The reason I ask the doctors this is because I want to know what specialty suits me. If I ask the doctors this and the majority and the whole consensus really is that I would not come to work if I won the lottery, then that gives me an idea about, how these doctors are dealing with their life, and reminding myself, is this something that matches my personality? And those are the things that I really highly recommend you guys think about. And I wish I actually did this when I was 16 years old on my work experience. I wish I actually sat down and said, could I actually handle the stress that doctors go through? Does it match my personality? And obviously the answer is yes. And I became a doctor, but it's super important that you do this, guys. I really highly recommend it. The fourth theme that I recommend you guys think about is freedom of time. Now, freedom of time being that, you actually have the ability to plan out your day. If you have an emergency and you have to go somewhere, if you have your kids, graduation, whatever that might be, whatever you have to do, if you want to go to it, are you actually able to do it? Do you have freedom of time? Do you have flexibility in your time? This is not commonly, spoken about in schools and in careers days, because the traditional job, the 9-to-5 job, the office job requires you to go to a particular location every single day at a particular time. Now, this obviously has changed because of COVID. A lot of jobs now are online, but this, even before COVID, was something that a lot of people were still doing. This digital nomad lifestyle, this, working from wherever you want, working from your laptop. This has been there previously with the digital nomads, but every single day now, this is changing. A lot of people I know, a lot of my friends, my partner actually, they all work from home and they have this freedom of time, which I don't have as a doctor. Even if you're working at home and you have a 9-to-5 job, there are times in your day where you can go get a coffee. You can go and, do a few errands. You can, if you really have to, and you have to be home to pick up a parcel, you can do that. Certain jobs offer more flexibility than others. To tell you guys about my job as a doctor, I have zero flexibility. I have zero freedom of time. I have a rota that tells me exactly where I need to be and at what time the next 4 months, and I have to be there, rain or shine. Unless I'm sick, I absolutely have to be there, and there is no flexibility whatsoever. As a doctor, at 9 a.m., my day actually starts at 9 a.m. At 9 a.m. sharp, the entire team is there to start the ward round. If I was working in a different job, maybe, I start at 9 a.m., but maybe at 9 a.m. you're there to set up your laptop, to set up your desktop, maybe you get a coffee, maybe use a toilet. That doesn't happen in medicine. From the second you arrive to the second you leave, you have no flexibility in your time whatsoever. And obviously there are nuances, but generally speaking, as a doctor, this is the experience that I have had. So think to yourself, are you someone that values your own time? Are you someone that actually doesn't mind being in a particular location at a particular point in time? Does that suit your personality? Also, certain people have no choice but to be flexible. Maybe you have someone that you look after. One of my friends has a husband that has a heart problem, and she has to be there for him every single day. Some people maybe have children, maybe they're a bit older in their careers. Some people really do value this flexibility of time that is really important. So again, think about what's important to you in terms of your time, and then try and match that to a career, and hopefully those things will align. Another really important thing to talk about, guys, is money. And I'm not entirely sure why, but a lot of people are actually really uncomfortable to talk about the topic of money, especially when it comes to being a doctor, especially when it comes to medicine or any other healthcare field. But it is really important to think about, guys. When I was 16 years old, I didn't quite appreciate how important it is to have money. When you're young and you're living at home and you have no bills, no rent to pay, stuff like that, then of course money is not something you necessarily think about. And definitely when I was 16 and deciding where I wanted to go and where I wanted to work in, I was not thinking about money whatsoever, and I really wish that I did. For that reason, sometimes it is hard to conceptualize how much money you actually would be okay with to earn every single month, but I really highly recommend you guys sit down and say, what life would I be okay with? Do I want to have one child? Do I want to have 4 children? Do I want to have a big house? Do I want a mansion? Do I want a fancy car? Are you more of a humble person? Think about in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years time, will you be happy on that salary? And if you want to go into medicine, it's super easy. You can go onto the BMA website, and the BMA website will have every single salary that a doctor normally earns at different levels in their career. So you can already go ahead and do that research. Not just in medicine, pretty much in any sort of field you want to go into. I'm sure there's an area that you can Google and see and get a rough idea about how much this person will be earning in that particular field. field. And believe me when I say, guys, money is super important when you're an adult. They don't tell you this in school, no one talks about it, everyone's shy about it, but money is very important. Of course, passion is important, of course, purpose is important, but at the end of the day, guys, no matter how passionate you are in a particular area, if you do not have enough money to pay for your bills, then passion is out the window. Passion can be really killed by the fact that you have no money in your career, you're not earning enough, and you're not able to pay your bills. So believe me when I say that, guys. And again, another tip that I have for you guys is to just talk to these people. If you meet a doctor, ask them, are you happy with how much you're earning? Speak to a teacher, are you happy with how much you're earning? Are you able to live the lifestyle you want? What sort of lifestyle do you have? Is that the sort of lifestyle that you actually want for yourself? Think about money, and guys, honestly, it will save you a bunch of time. Now, similarly to the last point that we mentioned about freedom of time and flexibility of your time, one thing that's also super important is freedom of location. And what this means is being able to just literally take your laptop or take whatever you need and be able to work from wherever you are, whether it's your home, whether it's your family's house, whether it's in a different country. That ability to travel and have freedom of location can be really important for some people. And this is something that I wish I had in medicine, honestly. This, as well as freedom and flexibility of my time, are just two things that you absolutely do not have to be a doctor. And of course, right, it makes sense. There is no way that a hospital can run if people are not there, if doctors are not there to assess their patients, to do a physical exam on these patients. The entire multidisciplinary team, including nurses and other healthcare professionals, need to be there to run a hospital or a GP surgery. So it makes sense, right? Even though I love medicine, this is really something that I wish I had, because I love traveling, I love seeing my friends, I love seeing my family. This really is a luxury that you don't get being a doctor. And I do definitely envy people who are able to literally take their laptop and work from wherever they want. They can go on holiday, they can choose to live in a cheaper location, a cheaper country even maybe. And as a doctor, again, I'm sort of, bound by my, not sort of, I'm definitely bound by my location. And that's just something that comes with a job. And again, this sort of lifestyle where you have freedom of location is super important for certain personality types and also just certain lifestyles. You may again have someone who you need to look after. Maybe you have family members that you have to constantly go and see and make sure they're okay. Maybe you have health reasons that means that you can't actually commute somewhere and commute to work. There are tons of reasons that any particular person may have to want to have that freedom of location. And again, think about it. Think about whether or not that's something you want in your life. If it's not important, that's fine. But if it is, then again, don't go into a field like medicine or somewhere where you have to be at a particular time and a particular location every single day. Now, we've spoken about passion, we've spoken about purpose, and these sorts of things sort of overlap with each other. But one thing that's really important as well to think about is satisfaction. This is slightly different to purpose and passion. Satisfaction is every single day. If you're going to do this for the rest of your entire life, is this something that you feel satisfied with? Is this something that you feel, you know what, if I do 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of this, when I finish, I'm going to feel like I have more energy. I'm not going to feel like I've been burnt out and I have no energy at all. You want to feel like, wow, I feel satisfied by what I did on a daily basis. And that's really important. Satisfaction comes from a lot of places for a lot of reasons. And what I'd like you guys to do, what I want you to start off with is start by thinking about all of these things that I've spoken about, all of these different themes, and think about, which of these themes matter most to me. And if I find a way of incorporating these themes in my life, will I actually be satisfied? Because any sort of aspect of these themes can really ruin your passion. Any sort of aspect of these themes that are not met to match your certain, persona can definitely ruin your satisfaction. For example, if you're working in a job where you're not being paid enough, if you're working in a job where you don't feel valued, if you're working in a job where you have no freedom of location, freedom of time, passion, whatever, then of course, at the end of the day, you're not going to feel that satisfaction at the end of the day when you've done all of your jobs and all your work is done. Ultimately, it's impossible to have a absolute balance between all of these themes, but you want to have a relative balance of each of these themes to a level that you're happy with. If you don't care about money, that's completely fine. You may be score 0 on this theme list, but you may really find passion very important. You need to find a balance of all of these themes that sits well in your heart, sits well in your soul, and to a level that you're actually happy with. Because ultimately, you can never find a perfect job. In medicine, I do like medicine, I love it so much, but there definitely are aspects of my day here and there that I just don't enjoy. And sometimes I have to maybe sacrifice freedom of time, flexibility of location in order to have maximum purpose, maximum satisfaction, right? You can't find a perfect balance, but what you want to do is align yourself as closely as you possibly possibly can to a balance of every single theme that I've spoken about, again, to a level that you're happy with. Now, these are just the themes that I've been thinking about for the last sort of 10-15 years of my life. I really hope it's helped you guys out, and if it has, please spend 2 seconds to drop the video a like. It really helps it reach more people. Leave a comment down below as well, and before you leave, here are a bunch of videos on my channel that you may find more value in. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on to never miss an upload, and I'll see you guys on the next one.